Hello and welcome to this Moho craft video tutorial showing you how to work the basic corner to corner stitch. So corner to corner is a very popular stitch. It gives you this sort of like basket weave look. It gives you a really nice texture on bigger pieces. It's all done using chains, trebles and slip stitches using UK terminology. It's a little bit finicky to get your head around. It's just this little first bit, getting your head around it, but once you've got that you are away and it can become quite addictive. So let's see what it's all about. So we're going to start with our yarn. I'm just going to start with a little bit. So I've got a few colours over here so I can show you a colour change as well. So like most crochet, we start with a slip knot. We're going to pop that on our hook. I'm using chunky just so it's nice and big and you can see it nice and clearly. So we start here, lace yourself up, and what we're going to start with is a 6 chain. Okay, so we want a nice 6 chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Every row is going to start like this. So we've got the next instruction says working into the 4th chain from the hook, work a treble crochet. So we don't count the 1 on the hook, so that's 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do a treble in the 4th, a treble in the 5th and a treble in the 6th. So let's do that. That's 2 and wrap through, back there, round and through 2, round and through 2. So this is our first block, and each block is going to be made up of the same thing. We're going to have a turning chain that counts as a treble, then we're going to have 1, 2 and 3 trebles. Okay, so that was row 1. We're now on to row 2. So row 1 has 1 square, row 2 is going to have 2 squares. So we start in exactly the same way. It's always the same to start a row whilst we're increasing. We want 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Again, we're going to treble into the 4th, 5th and 6th chains from the hook. So that's working loop, 1, 2, 3, treble, treble, treble. So we go in there, work a lovely treble, that one in your next one there, another treble, and then in this last one another treble. Now this is the bit that causes the most confusion. Like everything in crochet, everything's easier once you get to row 3 and we're on row 2. So the instructions for the next bit says to flip row 1 vertically, which, you know, really could mean anything. What we want to think of it is like this. You've got like a little pair of trousers with 2 leggies here. Oh, hello. We're going to take our left leg and this bit down here, where the ankle cuff would be, we're going to flip it up. Okay, so we went from having our tail at the top left, flip it so that your tail is at the bottom left. And we're then going to bring this up to here and we're going to find the space between the turning chain and that first treble in there, and we're going to do a slip stitch into that hole there. Okay, so that should bring this leg up to the side. And if you can make your legs do this, you've got either dislocated hips or you're very double jointed. So that was block 1 of row 2. So we're going to do another block on the top of this one here. So we do our chain 3 and then into this same space where we joined with our slip stitch, we're going to do 3 trebles. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Now as you're going along, if you find that you're getting quite big gaps here and you don't like it, you can just do a 2 chain to count as your first treble if you want. So we've done row 1 going that way, row 2 is going that way. We're now going to do row 3. So we start with a 6 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, lovely. Treble in into the 4th, 5th and 6th chains. That's 1 and 2 and 3. Now again, we now need to flip this bit over here. So we start with our tail in the top right, and we're going to flip this up. So it's top left and then it's down here in the bottom left. I'm not good with lefts and rights. We then find that space, so find the last block that you made of your previous row, find the turning chain, find your little hole there and slip stitch into there. So that's one. We then do our 3 chain or 2 chain. I'm just going to do 2. I find it easier to just fold the rest of your work down, then you can kind of get to this bit a bit easier without catching it. So then it's 3 trebles into that same space there as you slip stitched into. So like we're going up the stairs now. There. Fold that bit back up. So then again we find the top, the chain of this next block that we've got here. Put your hook in there and do a little slip stitch. Your 2 chain or your 3 chain, depending on how your tension is and what you want your item to look like. 1 and 2 and 3, and that's row 3 done. So each time you're going to do a row, so you're going to, this next one will have 4 blocks, so you'll have like 1 2 3 4, then 1 2 3 4 5, and you just keep going and going and going until it's the size that you want it to be. So we'll just do one more row and then I'll show you how we decrease. So we start again with our 6 chain, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4 5 6, can't count to 6. So we've got working loop 1 2 3, so we're going into here. Lovely. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so again it was pointing down this way, so we need to, that's up here in the top left. Flip the whole thing up so it's down in the bottom left. Find the top of your first block and that gap there between your treble and your turning chain and slip stitch in there. 2 chain and then 3 trebles into that same space. So 1 and 2 and 3, and then again find, so go up the next step, find your next bit, make the hole with your finger, slip stitch through there. 1 2, and your last your next one on here, so we go 1 2 and 3. Okay, again find this top block here, slip stitch, and we're going to do 1 and 2 and 3. Right, so I'm going to show you now how we change colour. So you would change colour if you're wanting to make a stripe design like this. You would change colour at the end of your row, just like you would if you were doing any normal treble. You work your last stitch until you've got the last 2 loops on your hook there. We then can snip this off here, leaving a long enough tail to sew your ends in. You then take your next colour, so we'll have a lovely bit of this seagrass colour here. So we take our next colour, lace yourself up, no need for any slip knot or anything, and then finish off this stitch by pulling through those final 2 stitches and just tightening those ends down there. So we'll do one more row in the new colour and then we'll do decreasing at the end of this one. Okay, so we want 1 2 3 4 5 6. Same again, working loop 1 2 3, so treble in the 4th, 5th and 6th. Treble and treble and treble. Let's get that out of the way. So then again we're here, we've got a few more ends in the mix now. Top left, flip it so that it's in bottom left, and then we slip stitch in to that space there. So when we're decreasing, we're going to have a slightly different approach. So we'll just get up to the end of this row and I will show you what we do, because we don't want to do the 6 chain at the end because that creates the new space for a block on the end. We want to come back a row, if you will. I'll explain that in a moment. So it gives a really nice basket weave sort of texture, just corner to corner. If you do it in all one colour and in quite a chunky yarn, you get a lovely, lovely texture. but you can also use it for graphgans and quite complex designs, or if you use variegated yarns you don't even need to change colour. So I'm going to stop here, and we're going to show you how to come back and decrease. So so say I wanted my square to be 1 2 3 4 5 by 1 2 3 4. If I wanted it to be 5 by 5 I'd do another, but we're going to stop here, and I'm going to put my hook through that one, do my slip stitch just like I would before, but I'm not going to do a block on this end bit. I'm not going to do one there. Okay, what we then do is we do 1 chain, turn your work around, and we're going to slip stitch back along these 3 trebles that we just made here, because we want to be here to start this block, but we're down here, so we can't just start up there because it'd drag it all in. So we go 1 slip stitch, a 2 slip stitch, and a 3 slip stitch, and then 1 into the space, and then we're ready to start our blocks all over again. And you keep doing that until you've completed your square. Oh no, I'm going to run out of yarn. Oh, terrible. Let's get that out of there. We'll have, where's it gone? I said more than that. Let's join a new ball, honestly. Can't get the supplies. So we'll just join a new one like we would normally. So last 2 loops, if you run out mid-row, this is what you would do. Last 2 loops of your stitch on the hook there, and you can, if you work over your 2 ends as well, you're already starting to sew it in. So let's nip up here and we'll finish this row and then see what we look like. It's very naughty yarn, this little seagrass one. Wants to get in on the action. So we've got our 1, 2 and 3, but remember when we're decreasing we don't work 1 on top of this last stitch here. We stop, slip stitch there, 1 chain, turn, and then we're going to slip stitch back in the top of these 3 trebles of that last block that we made. So slip, 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 and slip into the chain space. Then it's our chain back up the way. I've got that itchy nose. One and 2 and 3. There. And 1, 2 and 3. Slip stitch. Now I'm at the top again, got my end there, so I'll do my 1 chain, turn, back into there, slip stitch, slip stitch, slip stitch, and slip stitch into the chain space. Then it's my final block. 1, just as well as I'm running out of yarn again, honestly, and 3, and then we fasten it off with a little slip stitch there. You don't need to do your slip stitches at the end to get yourself back to that corner because you don't need to be in that corner, so let's just fasten that off, and there you go. Set that out of the way. There you've got your lovely little corner to corner. Now you can do squares, rectangles, like I say, if you want to work in stripes, you get lovely diagonal stripes that way. One edge will always look slightly less defined than the top edge. I quite like that. So I think that's all you need to know for your basic corner to corner guide. Give us a shout if you've got any questions, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.